Welcome to Stay Fit with Joy 360 Degrees of Core Focus. Workout number 2. For this workout, we're going to be concentrating on the lower part of the core all the way around 360 degrees from the front, side, and the back. We're going to be doing lower body movements that's going to activate and engage the lower portion of the core. We'll take it into various positions and we'll do a few different exercises in order to hit all those muscles around. So I'm going to preview the first 2 exercises that we're going to be doing. We're going to lower down onto our back. That's going to be the first position that we're going to take. Feet flat, knees bent, arms at your side with the palms down. We're going to bring those knees in towards the chest, lifting that butt slightly off of the floor and lowering those feet back to the ground. Just tapping those heels as you come back down. Second exercise, we're going to start with bent knees, 90-degree position, palms still on the ground and facing the floor. And from here, we're going to do a little reverse crunch. So we're going to lift and extend, lift that lower back up just a little bit more if you can, and back down, extending those legs straight up and towards the ceiling, really trying to engage those lower abs. If you can't come up with that back, just think of engaging, even if you don't lift, think of that tightness in the lower part of the stomach. That is what you want to feel. And as you get stronger, you'll be able to lift those legs up a little bit higher. So I'm going to set the clock. And we're going to get started. We'll be doing 30 seconds of each exercise with a 10-second rest in between, 2 sets. So get yourself set up with the feet flat, knees bent, palms to your side. We're going to focus on that first exercise that we're going to do, bringing the knees into the chest and tapping those heels back to the floor. And go. Draw those knees in. See if you can slightly lift that bottom off of the floor so that lower back just slightly comes up as you bring the knees in. You want to feel that core engagement in the lower part of the abs to bring those knees as close to the chest as you can, and then coming all the way to that floor and tapping those heels onto the ground. Make sure you're breathing. Once again, you do not want to be holding your breath through any of these exercises. You want to make sure that you're taking oxygen in, exhaling it out. Second exercise, get those knees 90 degrees bent, and from here lifting and extending those legs up to the ceiling and trying to get a little bit higher up, bringing that bottom off of the ground and seeing if you can bring part of that lower back up as well. Try not to bring the legs too far back. You want to try to lift them straight up towards the ceiling. The straighter you can lift that bottom up, the harder that those lower abs are going to work. Keep engaging that core. Get that last one in. Extend everything out. Take a little bit of a stretch, about 10 seconds. And we're going to set up for set number 2. Feet flat, knees bent. Get ready to engage that core. Draw the knees into the chest, keeping the knees bent. Tap the heels onto the floor. The upper body just remains steady and in position as those legs do the movement, and the lower part of the abdominals is what we are focusing on working. Tap the heels. Draw the knees in as close to the chest as you can. Trying to almost tap your chest with your knees and taking that butt and lower back slightly off of the floor. And hold 90 degrees bent from this position, extending the legs up, seeing if you can lift a little bit more of that back off of the floor, extending and reaching the legs straight up towards the ceiling from that 90-degree bent position. Extend, lift, and reach, and try to contract through those lower abs. Again, even if you can't lift that back off of the ground, you're trying to contract every time you extend the legs. Think about that contraction in the lower part of the stomach. Good, and lower down, extend, take a little stretch, and we'll move on to the next 2 exercises. Okay, for the next 2 exercises, we're going to start with extended legs straight up to the ceiling, arms at your side, palms down. We're going to lower those legs straight down wherever you can go, feeling that contraction in the lower abs, and then bring it back up. So you're going to decide how low you can go. You might be able to get really close to that ground, and you might only be able to make a small movement. So you'll decide on what movement you can make. Second exercise, you're going to take those arms out to the side, get them out of the way, so that you can lift your bottom up, bring it to one side of your body, tapping the heels to the ground, then lift and move that bottom to the other side of your body, and tap your heels to the other side. So you're going to get this little reverse crunch and move. So every time you lift the legs up, you're trying to lift that bottom up, bring it to the right side, lift that bottom up, and bring it to the left side. Clock is starting, getting ready for those exercises. Palms down at your side. Extend the legs up. We're starting from this straight leg position. We're going to lower those legs down and bring them up. Remember, you decide on your range of motion for this. It can be a small move, or you can take those legs down even lower and as close to the ground as you can and back up. Just make sure that you are really tightening up the lower part of that core every time you lower those legs down. Make sure the back is not arching. If the back starts to arch, make the movement smaller until you can control it and go lower without an arch in your back. So you've got to really pull that belly button down to the spine, engage that core as you lower those legs down and lift. Bring it up, get those arms out of the way, lift that bottom to one side of your body, tap the heels to the floor, lift and move to the other side of the body, tap the heels to the floor. So every time you come center, you're extending the legs up, you're lifting your bottom up, and you're moving it. And if you're not getting much movement, it's fine. Again, the stronger you get, the more movement you'll be able to make with this. And if you can't lift and move, just go back to that first exercise where we did the straight out reverse crunch and get that strong first. Good, extend the legs, take a little stretch, and then back into position, arms to your sides, palms down, extended legs up, and lower and lift. Again, small movement or bigger movement depending on the strength of your core. You decide. Make sure that that back is not arching. Make sure you're breathing. You're not holding your breath every time you lower down and up. But really think of that control as you lower. Think of the tightening in and pulling down of that belly button so that that core is tightening up and really working. And make sure you're breathing. Take those arms out to the side. Lift that bottom up. Move it to one side of the body. Tap the heels to the floor. Lift and move to the other side of the body. Tap those heels to the floor. Every time you come through the center, lifting, extending those legs up, and trying to lift that bottom up and physically move it from one side up and over to the other side. And you're gonna really feel that in the lower part of that core. So have to physically lift that bottom up and take a stretch. One more set of exercises in this position, so I'll preview those for you. Last two exercises that we're going to do in this position, we'll be doing seated, and they're going to be a reverse plank move, a reverse plank lift. And I'm going to give you some options for this because the reverse plank lift could be tough for some of you. So I'll give you some options on what to do if it's too difficult to do the full reverse plank. So for this move, our hands come slightly behind our body and separate the fingers so you have a nice wide stance with those hands. Extended legs, and to lift, you're gonna lift that bottom up off the floor, squeeze the glutes, and then lower back down. That's your reverse plank lift. And if that is too much, bend the knees, and you'll come up to a reverse tabletop instead of that plank. Lift and squeeze, so that will make it a little bit easier. If that is too much, lower down, feet flat, knees bent, and lift into a bridge position. So that would be your most modified move. If you need to take it there. Your second exercise, and again, I'll give you options on this. Holding that reverse plank up, you're gonna alternate bringing one knee in at a time towards that body. Modified here, same thing, knees in towards your body, keeping them bent the entire time. And if you need to take a further modification, hips stay lifted and knees come in one at a time in that bridge position. Okay, so you'll decide where you need to go. Make sure at any point, if you're doing the full reverse plank and it's getting to be too much, just start to bend the knees. If you need to take it down onto your shoulders, just decide at that moment if you need to change where you're at. Okay, so getting ready to start those two exercises, line your hands up slightly behind your body, extended legs, bent knees, or down on your shoulders if you need to take the bridge position. And lift, squeezing the glutes nice and high. No matter where you are, you're squeezing the glutes nice and tight, lifting the hips up as high as you can. So no matter what position you have taken, it's the same thing. You're lifting up those hips off of the ground, you're squeezing the glutes nice and tight, and you're trying to get those hips up as high as you can towards the ceiling. And you're breathing. Lift. Good. Now hold it up, whatever position you're in, and start to draw one knee in at a time. If this is too much, again, bend the knees. Same move here. So you can decide that you can do the full reverse plank lift, but once you hold up, you might need to bend those knees. So you decide whatever you need to do in that position. Change it if you need to. Holding nice and strong. Try not to let those hips sink down. And relax. Hug it in. Take a little stretch. We're going to do it all again. So pick your position. Extended legs, bent knees, or down on those shoulders for that reverse plank lift, that tabletop lift, or that bridge. And lift. The tighter you squeeze the glutes, the higher those hips are going to come up. If you're doing that reverse plank or you're doing that tabletop, the upper body is going to get some work here as well, stabilizing you as that lower body does the movement. So even though we're focusing on core, some other muscles are going to be working as well. Lift and hold, and bring those knees in one at a time. Once again, bend the knees if you need to, if it's too difficult to hold straight legs. Try not to let those hips sink. Breathe. Keep it nice and strong. Hold those hips up, squeeze those glutes tight. You're almost there. Coming on those last 5 seconds, you got this. Wherever you are, finish it out. And release. Hug it in, shake it out, whatever you need to do. We're gonna be changing our positions into the side now and focusing on our 2 exercises that we're gonna do there. Okay, so we're gonna go into 2 exercises on our side, in the side position. We'll do 2 exercises that will superset 30 seconds each for 2 sets on one side, and then we'll take it to the other side and do the same thing on that side. So the first exercise that we're gonna do is we're gonna lie all the way down on our side, stacking our hips and our feet one on top of the other. You're gonna rest your head on your arm, either extended or bent, whatever feels most comfortable for you, and then bring the fingertips in front of the body to help stabilize you. Keeping those feet together, you're gonna lift that legs up and off of the ground and then lower back down. Lift and lower them back down. So even if those legs don't lift that high, it's okay. Just feel the engagement that you have to have in your side to get those legs up, or try to get them up. Second exercise, we're gonna prop up into that side plank, elbow directly underneath the shoulder, bottom knee is going to be bent, hand is gonna be onto the hip, and we're gonna lift our hips up into that side plank and at the same time kick a straight leg forward in front of us. So it's gonna look like this. Up and kick and back down. Up, kick forward, and back down. So right here, it's gonna look like that. If at any time it's too much for you to lift, just swing that leg in front of you and keep that hip on the floor. Okay, so setting up for that first exercise, lie all the way on your side, extended arm or bent arm, stack those hips and those feet on top of each other with extended legs, fingertips in the front of the body, helping to stabilize you, and lift both of those legs up and off of that ground. Keep that core nice and tight, hold in and engaged. Think about keeping yourself as balanced in this side position as possible so that you're not falling forward or back. And for this exercise, make sure you have a mat underneath you. If your hip hurts or your hip bone is digging into the ground, place a folded towel underneath that hip. Rise it up, come up onto that elbow, bring that hand on the hip, lift and swing that leg forward. Lift and swing that leg forward. Lift and swing. Lift and swing that straight leg in front of you. And again, if it's too much to lift that hip and swing at the same time, you can just keep that hip on the ground and just swing that leg forward with that hip down and on the floor. Good. And relax, lower all the way down. Just take a little bit of a breather and then start to get yourself set up. Stack those hips, stack those feet, and lift. Lift. Trying to get both legs up. Hold there a moment. Feel that engagement and that tightness in your center, in your legs. Extend them out and away from the body. 15 seconds. Last time on this side for this exercise. Lift and hold. 5 more seconds. And last one, prop yourself up, hands on the hip, bottom knee bent, top leg is extended as you lift and swing that leg forward. Lift and swing that straight leg forward. And make sure again you're breathing. You're engaging that core. You're gonna also feel this in the hip, in the leg. Some of these movements, again, it's gonna work other muscles other than the core, but our focus is that center. Doesn't mean other muscles won't be working along with it. Good, and relax. We're gonna be taking it over to the other side, and we've gotta do that all again on the other side, really even it out. Setting up for the other side, lower down all the way on your side, extended legs, stack your hips, stack your feet one on top of the other. Extend your arm or bent elbow, resting the head on top, fingertips to the front. Keep those legs together as you lift and lower down. Lift and hold a moment and lower back down. Really think of that movement coming from your core to get those legs up and off of the ground. Make sure that your feet stay together as if they are glued, and you're pulling your navel in towards your spine, helping to balance you on your side without leaning forward or leaning back. 5 more seconds. Finish it out. And prop up onto your elbow, bend your bottom knee, hand on the hip, lift that hip up, and swing that straight leg forward. So just get into that position as quickly as you can, start the movement as quick as you can, and get as many of them in within that time as you can. Once again, if it's too much to lift your hip up and swing that leg forward, keep that hip onto the ground and just focus on swinging that leg forward and back until you're ready to start that lift. And relax, good. Extend, take a little bit of a stretch and relax your legs. Start to set your position, extending, stacking the hips, stacking the feet, fingertips on the floor, and lift those legs up. Hold a moment and lower back down. Lift and lower back down. Remember to really, really keep that core engaged, so pulling that navel in towards the spine. The stronger and tighter that core can be engaged, the more that you'll be balanced in this position, and you'll be able to get those legs up a little bit stronger, a little bit higher. Lift and hold. Good, get that last one in. Start to change your position, propping up onto the elbow. Lift the hip and swing that leg forward. So you're lifting into that side plank. You're swinging that leg forward in front of you, utilizing those lower abs as you lift and as you swing. Coming on those last 10 seconds. Almost there. Swing and lift. Last 5 seconds. Get that final one in and release. And now we're going to move to our final position, face down, belly down, and we're going to do a couple of exercises from there. So I'm going to preview our last couple of segments that we're going to do, and that's going to be face down. We're going to be taking it into that bear pose for our first one. So we're on all fours. We're going to curl those toes under so that they're the toes are on the floor. And for the bear pose, we're on all fours, but we've got to lift and hover our knees off of the ground. From this position, we're going to push and extend one leg at a time back. Now at any time, if this is too much, drop your knees down and continue with the extensions with your knees down one at a time. Second exercise we're going to do is lower down. We're going to stack our hands one on top of the other. Rest the forehead here, and we're going to keep the hands and the forehead on the ground while we focus on just lower body movement. We're going to squeeze the glutes. Feet and legs are going to remain together as you lift them up and lower down. So you're using that back to get those legs up or feet off of the floor as high as you can. So those are the first 2 exercises that we're going to do. Okay, setting up for those 2 exercises. So we're going to come into the bear pose, curl the toes under, get ready to lift and hover those knees up, hold, and extend one leg at a time back. Stay nice and strong, and those knees are just hovered over the ground. Unless you need to drop those knees down at any time, feel free to do so. Otherwise, they're hovered in a 90-degree position, and you're alternating that extension back one at a time. Keeping a strong position and a strong core to keep you in a nice, solid position. Good. Start to lower down. Stack your hands, forehead on top, feet and legs together, and lift. So here you're going to be using that back to lift those feet off of the ground as high as you can. Now, if you can't even lift those feet off of the ground, it's totally fine. Just start to try and lift them best you can. Even if they're not going anywhere, you're still going to be focusing on the contraction that's trying to lift them. So do the best that you can. And 10-second rest. You can sit back on your heels, take just a quick little stretch, and then back onto all fours, getting ready to hover into that bear pose. Lift and extend one leg at a time back. Nice and strong. Looking straight down in between your hands, making sure you're not tucking the chin in. So you want to keep that neck in alignment with the spine as you do these, and you're holding yourself in as steady of a position as you can. And if you need to drop the knees at any point, do so, but keep extending the legs back until you get stronger enough to hold this position while you do the extensions. Lower it down, stack the hands, forehead on top of the hands, and just the legs and feet lifting up as high as you can. Squeeze the glutes, press the feet together, keep them together as if they're glued every time that you lift. Up. Keep trying to lift every time, as strong as you can. Relax, bring it up, take that stretch back. And we're going to move on to our final 2 exercises in this position. So I'm going to show you the final 2 exercises that we're going to be doing. And we're going to stay belly down position, and we're going to start in a full plank position. So we're going to take a nice, strong full plank position, hands directly underneath the shoulders. And from this position, we're going to rotate and kick underneath the body. So it's a little rotation and a little kick underneath and through the body. Now, if you need to modify this, you can come to your knees, and instead of a kick, you're going to do a little knee twist. So that is your option number 2. For the second exercise, I'm going to lower down, stack the hands, place the forehead on top of those hands, lift the legs up, hold, open, close, and lower down. So you're going to lift, you're going to hold up to activate that back, open the legs, close the legs while you stay lifted, and lower back down. So those are the first 2 exercises. Okay, clock is ready to go. Let's set those exercises, starting with that full plank position, hands directly underneath the shoulders, nice and strong, engaging that core, getting set to rotate and kick underneath the body. First exercise right here. Rotate and kick. And again, if that is too much, you can come to your knees. Instead of a kick, you're going to rotate the knee. Keep that core engaged. Hold up to your spine. Make sure the hips are not lifting or sinking. Rotate and kick. Keep everything strong and stable and in position. Lower down, stack your hands, place your forehead on top, lift the legs up, feet together, open, close, and lower down. So you want to lift and hold, open, close, and lower back down. Feel that nice strong back, lifting you up, holding you there, and then opening and closing those legs. Make sure you're breathing. Even when you're holding those legs up, you're still breathing through it. Sit back on those heels, take a little bit of a stretch, and get set to go into set number 2. Lift, get into that strong plank position. Rotate and kick underneath the body. Rotate and kick. Keeping that nice strong plank position, engaging that core, keeping that upper body holding you nice and strong as well. And if you need to, drop to your knees, rotate knee instead of the rotate kick. Almost there. Keeping it nice and strong as you finish up. Lower down, stack the hands, forehead on top, feet together, lift, open, close, and lower down. Last exercise. Keep it nice and strong. Finish it up. Make sure you're breathing as you lift and hold. Open the legs and close them, and place them back down with nice control. Don't just let them fall and drop. Control that movement as you come up, as you open, as you close, and as you place it down. And stretch it back, sit back on your heels, take a little stretch. And workout number 2 for that 360-degree core focus is done. Nice, strong, lower ab concentration.